This is a follow-up. We had an external expert come in January to talk with us about how to effectively teach this specific student population. And so this is a wonderful follow-up that is co-sponsored by our Global Engagement Committee as well. I would like to thank everyone who participates in that Global Engagement Committee for making this possible. And I'd also like to thank the students who are joining us today. You know, as PARC continues to grow its international student population, we want to offer opportunities for PARC instructors to hear directly from this student population, to understand teaching and learning strategies that you find most meaningful and which resonate to support your learning and development. So thank you all for joining our panel today. Let's first begin by introducing ourselves. So for the students, if you could please just give a quick summary of what you're studying at PARC, why you were interested in that topic maybe, and where you're originally from, or your home country of origin. Why don't we kick off with Rossana, and then feel free to just jump in. All of those panelists, you are welcome to just unmute your lines as well.
Hi, I'm Rossana Kasemier. I'm originally from the Netherlands. This is my second year at PARC University. I'm a junior right now. I transferred from a community college here in Kansas City. My major is sports and exercise science, which I absolutely love. It's not like a major that you hear very often from international students. So I feel sometimes a little bit special in the major as an international student. Honestly, like last year, a couple of this year actually, a couple of new international students joined today's major, which was super exciting. A couple students from Germany joined the major. So yeah, Netherlands and Germany close to each other. So yeah, you can really bond with those people. I'm actually right now I'm in the athletic training room. I'm working there, so I can apply all my skills that I learn in my classes in the athletic training room. In the end, I want to become an athletic trainer. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nisha, and I'm from India. The southern part of India, it's called Bangalore. And currently, I'm pursuing my master's in information science and systems and business analytics at PARC. So the reason I chose this course is it has a solid background for me with IT as my previous job roles and everything. And it kind of is going to propel my career forward as well. And I'm just using this opportunity here at PARC to, enhance my skills and knowledge to align with my career upfront. I'm going to graduate in May, so I'm kind of nervous about it, but yeah.
Congratulations.
So kind of excited as well to see what life is going to be after I graduate and everything. And I'm really excited about, how enriching the, educational culture is at PARC. I've thoroughly enjoyed it so far, and I'm looking forward to, this whole meeting today to understand much with how others are thinking about everything. Thank you.
I can go next. My name is Manoj Khatiwada. I'm from Nepal. I started my undergraduate at PARC about 6 years back. 6 years back, I guess. So I did my undergrad, worked for a few years, and then I'm doing my ISBA now, like everybody. So like the reason I chose PARC was I was really pulled by the fact that the Mickey Hall was constructed by the students, and that was kind of a neat concept, right? Like not many colleges have their building constructed by students themselves. So I like the way the fitness at level was with PARC. So in my high school, I was involved in things, giving back to community, giving back to my school, and being engaged. So I like that thing about PARC, and here I am. Thank you.
Wonderful. We're happy you're here. Thank you.
All right, I can go next. Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria. I'm an international student from Nigeria. I also completed my undergraduate at Park University in multimedia journalism and public relations. And right now I'm doing my graduate school in information systems and business analytics. I just wanted to have like a change of career in a sense. Before I completed my undergrad, I was already moving to business and tech and information systems, and business analytics is the closest to business and tech that I can get at Park. I've always been involved and interested in just ways to engage the student body on campus and just help students learn about how students can be better in all the ramifications on campus. And so that's why I'm interested in this conversation.
Wonderful, thank you. We're glad to have you here, and completing your second degree as well is very exciting.
Hey everyone, it's Tolga here. I'm from Mongolia. I came to United States and to Park University in 2019 January to pursue my MBA. And during that time, I had lots of challenges since as a new student. But I was really fortunate enough to make friends on campus with other students and other staffs. For example, I remember after like 2 months, one of the DSO offered me an opportunity to work on campus to their team under Karen Wicker's office. And after that, I decided to pursue another master's degree in ISBA, as other people mentioned. I think because I have a solid background in IT. Previously, I was accomplished my bachelor's in information technology. So overall, Park University offers very flexible graduate program as compared to other schools. For example, we offer only one class for each term, so which means 2 classes for each semester, which gives more time for graduate students to focus on other for other things. For example, they can devote their time to work on campus or off campus, right, and etc. So I'm really happy to be here today.
We're very happy you're with us. All right, is there anyone else I missed for introductions?
I think George is having some issues. He's joined the call, but you guys can go ahead and he'll pop in when he's here.
That sounds great. Thanks, Kevin. Well, then in that case, let's dive in. I think Park is a non-traditional institution, and it's catered to a growing population of international learners. I know you've already mentioned a little bit of what drew you to pursue your education here. And I guess the next question is just, what's been your experience so far? And what are kind of the main differences in teaching style? In other words, how did instructors approach things differently here versus maybe in your home country? Maybe Nisha could kick us off with this one. And then again, students, feel free to just unmute your lines and jump in with your responses.
Yeah, thank you, Amber. So when I started doing my research, like 2 years ago, when I wanted to, choose a college, it was in the Midwest. Most people don't really, know about Kansas or Missouri, where I'm coming from. And I was like, wow, I should go to this place. And when I looked up about it, it was like a diverse international community. And another thing was about sports. I come from a sports background, which was like, oh, okay, so mindset of people is going to be very likely when I get there. And the experience has been really great and enriching for me. And when you ask about how it's different from back home to here with the instructors and everything, the way we collaborate here with the professors or with with the students in class is more hands-on. We are more practical, and we have to do a lot of work before we get to class. And back home, it's more like we've given a textbook and we just, go through that and we just stick to what's in the books. But here I see it's more of outside the textbook culture, career gap, and then again switch back to studying. But I think I like this approach because I've had this experience and I need more of, outside the textbook experience. Occasionally, I post norms about how it is around here. And yeah, I like it so far. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Nisha. Manoj, maybe if you don't mind jumping in there next.
Oh, sure. So with me, like my experience has been kind of engaging in a lot of things. So back in my undergrad, I was involved in the student body, PSCA. I was in the Rotaract with Dr. Winston. We did a lot of community builders and things. So she was in one of my classes. Also, she was advisors to one of the clubs I was president of. So I got a chance to work with a professor, not only in a classroom, but also like volunteering at the thrift store nearby or doing things of other kind. So I think all of these kind of aided my growth. Like personally, like back in Nepal, we used to have like classes that start from 9 a.m. in the morning till like 4 p.m. in the evening, like all like 5, 6 days a week. So in here, you just go to a class, that class maybe a few hours, and then you get out of your classroom, and there are a lot of other things to do, a lot of other things that you could be a part of. And personally, all of this experience has helped me like shape into a person who I am today. So when I started 6 years back, I was not really sure of what I wanted to be or what I wanted to do. But within these 6 years with Park, I think I got a chance to explore myself, do random things, different things, little things, big things, and all of them. So I explored the best out of myself. And now I'm at this point in my life where I kind of feel like I have direction of what I want to do, not for the rest of my life, but at least for next 5 years. Thank you.
Well, I love that Nisha was talking more about kind of that collaborative applied learning, and Manoj, how you're talking about taking it beyond the classroom and really being able to work with professors beyond just the class, but also just within the organizations and service that you've done, which is wonderful.
Yeah, that's right. Dr. Wayne is here. A big shout out to her as well.
Yes, we all love Dr. Wynn. So
yeah, Manoj grows so much through the club, through the class. So yeah, I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you.
maybe Victoria, if you don't mind sharing just your thoughts and perspectives on that, and then we'll move on to the next question as well.
Okay, so I think I'm going to share a bit of what Manoj shared too, because I also have like undergraduate experience. And as an undergrad, it was just an opportunity to just learn in classroom and outside of classroom. I believe that a student has to be well-rounded, like in the classroom and with outside the four walls of the classroom. I think there are things that you learn outside the classroom. You build soft skills, you build all of those things. And I learned those just being in different student organizations on campus. So I also did like PSAB, which is the activities board. I was a resident assistant for 2 years and all of those things. So all of those experiences just shaped who I am. I remember when I first got to Park, there was this panel with first year experience mentors sharing their experiences to new students, and I just saw the students on that stage, and I wanted to be someone like that in the future to other students, because it's helped me just feel like, okay, I feel like I'm seen and I can relate to, I'll be able to relate, or I'll be able to learn more from the students. And so that's just important for me. And yeah, that's been my experience.
Wonderful. Thank you, Victoria. I appreciate you sharing, all of you. You know, I think there's also, I want to acknowledge there is a reason that research addresses what is known as culture shock and just kind of the complex experience that occurs when someone moves abroad to another culture. Rossana, I actually lived in the Netherlands for a few years and experienced my own culture shock when we moved to Maastricht. And so, you know, I assume that this has been a big transition for all of you. So what kind of adjustments did you have to make after moving here and starting school in particular? What were some of, I guess, your biggest challenges and rewards that you've experienced since coming? And maybe we can start with, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, what a coincidence, honestly. Yeah, no, like I had that question like a lot, honestly. Like a lot of people ask me like, okay, what's the biggest like culture difference like you have like experienced? And what I tell most people, and it's maybe like, it's not really school related, or like, it's just like the moment that I moved here and I was like, okay, well, I have to go to a grocery store. I don't have a car. My roommates are not here because they went home for the weekend. All my other like teammates, because I was part of the soccer team, are not here because they're also home for the weekend. How am I going to get to the grocery store? And I knew that there was a grocery store, like it was at my community college. I knew there was a grocery store like 5 minutes down the road with a car. So I was like, well, in the Netherlands, what I would do is I would go and walk there. So I was like, I can go walk there. And so I went on my own and I walked to the grocery store. And the moment that I came back and I told my teammates about it, I was like, yeah, they asked me, what did you do this weekend? I was like, well, I walked to the grocery store. And they were like, you walked to the grocery store? I was like, yeah. They were like, on your own? I was like, yeah. I was like, how did you do that? I was like, I just went to the grocery store, grabbed my groceries, and I walked back to the dorms. And they were like, you did that all by yourself? That's scary. You can't do that. That's dangerous. There's people that can like they do scary stuff. And I was like, I'm not aware of that. Like there was such a thing that's like,
Yeah.
like those things are not going on in my mind. Like I'm not aware of like how like teenagers or like youth here have to think about how they have to think about like, okay, is it dangerous to go somewhere on my own? How dangerous is it to go like as a woman to go outside at night in the evening? Like those things, like in the Netherlands, honestly, we don't have to think about that because it's safe.
Yeah.
And here in the US, you go outside and you honestly have to think about that. That was the same that I experienced. We went to a fair and people started running out of nowhere. And like my friends were like, come on, Rossana, we have to run. And I was like, why do we have to run? And they were like, if people start to run, you run with them because most of the time that means there is a gun. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't have guns in the Netherlands. So those are the things that I had to get used to so much. And still, like every time I have to think, it's so weird.
Yeah, it's hard to recalibrate to things that you don't even know to question.
Yeah,
in some
yeah,
ways.
no, for real. And like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's such a different way of thinking. So yeah.
Other students want to comment on adjustments that you had to make as you experienced just kind of challenges or rewards as you got here.
I can go
Okay.
ahead.
Go ahead. Okay, just to touch base again, yeah, the first thing was public transport. Some cities do have good public transport, but out here, being a student without like, public transport, it's really hard. And I totally agree to what Rossana said. Just walk to the grocery store, get what you want, or even just anything. It was just walkable, or like we have mopeds back home. I used to use my moped if it's just in my area. But here, you should have a car. But, being students, it's not very easy to just own a car right when you're here. And the other thing is about the weather. I come from a very warm place. So I'd never seen snow my entire life. And then I was very fascinated the first time, but only realized after when I had to go out how hard it was, and the nights being longer than the days. People used to talk about it like, your life is so gray with the weather and everything. And I kind of actually experienced it staying alone now. Yeah, it's a real thing.
Oh, yes.
It is a real thing. But other than that, I love it here. I love the people around here. I'm an extrovert. So it's always been nice for me when I just go out about there and then I'm able to talk to everybody. So that was one of the two things that, I felt it was like a culture shock for me.
So for me, I think as an international student, there's always a lot that we have to adjust to. And some of the things we don't even know, we just know as you go. And even 3-6 years down the line, you can still find something that's it's still a culture shock.
Yes.
Because you're just like, oh, I didn't know this was the thing. But I would just bring it to class a bit. I think one of the things that I had to adjust to was deciding how to address my professors. Back home we just say Mr. or Professor, like, so like, you know how to address, the title is there for a reason. If they go by doctor, we call them doctor. But like here sometimes the professors would go by their first name and just called that. And just knowing that sometimes was confusing. So you're confused on how to address them, and if to just call them by their name or to just say professor. Some of them just have their preferences. And as a form of respect, I just do not enjoy calling people, like, especially people who are like my professors, by their first name just like that. So just learning how that works. Sometimes the professors define it, but sometimes they don't, and it's just up to your discretion to just decide, maybe based on how others are calling them. And so yes, and definitely other cultural shocks outside of the classroom, just the culture, I think the language even. I speak English a little. I speak English because Nigeria is like an English speaking country officially, but we have other languages. But there sometimes I still hear some slangs, and I'm just like, I'm not sure what that means. So just the slangs, the language, and just knowing how to communicate, body language, then generally. Even though you speak the same language, sometimes it's still a little confusing, just like body language and what is considered a good body language. I know that for America, eye contact is like a big thing when you're having conversations. But like from where I come from back, and you don't look at your elders to say you don't look at your elders right in the eye when talking to them, because it's kind of like a sign of disrespect. So just learning those how to balance that, and just knowing, making sure that you're communicating what needs to be communicated, and you're not being rude unintentionally. So yeah.
I love that point about that you're making, Victoria, especially related to not just the language, but the verbal and nonverbal cues and kind of societal or cultural norms that exist. When you're entering a different country, and kind of it's kind of learn, sink or swim, trial by fire kind of thing, unless you have a guide to help you through that. So that's such a great point. And even to your point about, I think that's something instructors can do easily in their first class, is to let folks know how they prefer to be addressed. So that way it's not a mystery you're trying to solve on your own. Yeah, that's such a great point. And I want to welcome another student discussant for the day. George is joining us. Hello, I'm so glad to see you in there, George. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll invite you to participate in this next question. Can you share an experience with us that an instructor or professor was really able to connect with you, or was there something special about them, or what made a positive experience for you between you and your instructors? Maybe we can start with Manoj and then go to George.
Okay. Oh, sweet. So that one is a recent one. That one was last semester. So one of my professors in my class, he was starting his tenure in Park as well. So he was in a class. After the class, he shared about like being part in different like seminars, because we don't have a lot of seminars in grad school, like writing papers, publishing them, and getting things out there. Like that shows your portfolio. So I think that conversation I had with one of my professors was kind of insightful. Based on that conversation, I started working on things on my own. I'm on the process of getting those out there through different mediums. So I think like you do so many things in classroom. After the class is over and you graduate, you'll have a certificate, degree, and all that stuff. But also if you start working on other things related to the domain that you want to be after you graduate, that could be related to your major, that goes a long way. I think having that conversation with one of our professors was something not in the core syllabus, but also something you wanted these students to be successful. And that resource that he provided was eye-opening.
Fantastic. Thank you. Let's go to George and then Tolga.
Oh, okay. So when I first got to Park University, the first course I took was taught by one professor called Robert Cowell. And what I observed about him was, for him, he told us that he also came in as an international student. So mostly when he was teaching, he would use his experience to, as a guide for us to learn about how he was able to survive. And I also observed that he took time to actually understand the students he was dealing with. And he actually paid attention to the things we knew, our language, and he took time to understood whatever we were doing in the class. And then from there, I think he actually helped me a lot. He helped me to be able to settle in very well without having a lot of problems because of the experiences he shared with us, for he coming in as an international student also. And then the next lecturer I have dealt with in an in-person class was Professor Konrad Mansky, if I'm getting the name right. And he too was very good. Like, he's very good with how he goes about his teachings. And then he takes time to understand that we are from different cultural backgrounds. And at times, even the language become a barrier, although we are all speaking English, but you could clearly see that when you are trying to communicate, it is hard for him to understand, but he will take time to actually get what you are trying to say. And it makes me feel that, he takes time to understand his students. And yeah, that is basically what I observed. And it's good.
Wonderful. Thank you, George. Let's go to Tolga.
Yeah, I was wondering, I was thinking about one of my instructor. Unfortunately, I don't remember his name. So far I have taken like 16 graduate classes, and maybe two of the instructors, I really admire their experience, their professional, the way to run a classroom. So one of them was, I only remember his first name. That was a Florence something. His name was Dr. Florence. He had 3 PhD, 7 master's degree, 2 bachelor's degree. And I was shocked. I was like totally shocked. I was thinking after my MBA, I'm not going to study again. Like I can't go further. And after I saw his resume, I was like totally admired, and he really started that inspiration inside me to study more. Just go study. And I later on, I also contacted to him, asking more career advice. He was so open, and he was giving a valuable experience from his past employment, past education degree, and each class, I remember me and one of my other students, we will just keep asking like something that wasn't related to this, to the class, but still he was so eager to explain everything. I have to focus on a career development and have to be successful in the future. So I think that was one of the instructor I really admired, and I satisfied during the class. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, and especially Manoj, George, and Tolga, even just kind of pulling together those ideas of how important it is to establish that community connection and opportunities beyond the class, as Manoj mentioned, and as George mentioned, also just being able to connect with the learners based on your own experiences and struggles that you've had as instructors. And as Tolga mentioned too, modeling that continuous and lifelong learning, I think, is really essential as well. I have just one last question, and then we're going to open it up for everyone in here to ask questions for you guys as well. I know that we've got some amazing instructors and leaders within the institution who I'm sure are wanting to pick your brains and get your advice, insights, and knowledge. And that leads to kind of this last question, at least from our team, which is, if you could make any suggestion or improvement, one thing that you wish every professor could do or know to better support international students, what would that be? And why don't we start maybe with Victoria, followed by Nisha.
So um, I think that professors should be more aware of the diversity in the classroom. And so just like I mentioned earlier, maybe starting by just defining how they would like to be addressed. But also a flexible way of teaching that just gives room for everyone and accommodates their needs. Like George mentioned, I also mentioned, sometimes we speak the same English, but like we don't understand. Maybe the instructor is talking too fast or using other words that we're not totally understanding yet. So just making that, also understanding that there are people in that classroom that may not totally understand what he's saying or what you're saying, and just making accommodations for that. Also just being flexible, approachable. I think that's one thing that a lot of international students want, to be able to approach their teachers. For me, as a undergrad student, because I had a lot of like classes as an undergrad and in-person classes. One thing I always did was when I was not comfortable asking questions in the classroom, I would wait till after class to ask my instructor. If my instructor is not approachable, that's a challenge for me. So I want it's going to be good if an instructor is approachable, to be able to accommodate questions after a classroom for students who are not comfortable in the classroom, and just being open to the needs of students, understanding them. Empathy is a big thing for international students. To like, if I have any struggles or challenges and I relate that to my instructor, I want him to be able to understand my perspective and just make accommodations for that as well.
I love that, Victoria. Thank you. Nisha.
Hi. So it was something that I don't know, like it's not for the professors or anything, but this is something I was just really wanting to share with everybody. So taxes. I am very new to this back home. We just have a CA and then it's taken care of. And I did not know that we have to do it until I got here and I got an email from Kevin. I did it last year, but this year, since I did my CPT, it was kind of a struggle for me. So when I was talking to one of my friends, so they said that in their university, they have these camps that are done in the beginning of the year, where the finance students or accounting students actually take this up like a project. They open up certain days where we can actually go do our taxes. And this is like a great thing on the resume for the student. And it helps a lot of international students. I'm not really sure how many of them are actually doing the taxes right. A lot of them choose a wrong website, like TurboTax. It's not for, us students or international students out here, especially. So this is one thing I would like to tell, because I've seen a lot of people come to me and ask, oh, I'm facing difficulties with this. And this is one thing I think everybody should know, because if you're seeing a future here, this becomes one of the most important things. And if this is something, the accounting students can take up and, collaborate with the school, and the professors can help, it can be a great project for them. And, it's like a lot of us want to reach out to Sprint Tax, but we're not getting a lot of information. There's a lot of wait time and we don't have immediate responses at times. So this is something I wanted to bring up, nothing related to the professor or anything. I've had wonderful experiences. And just one thing, where we have a lot of offline classes, it's easier, right? Like we have the professor, we know we are meeting them. But when it's on online classes, they take a bit of time to get back to us most of the times. And I understand they're like probably in a different time zone and everything. So that's one difficulty that I have faced throughout, where we send an email, but there's no response for a couple of days, and probably we're closer to the deadline. So that's one thing. Maybe if there's a way that we could actually communicate with the online professors and lectures, be much more lively. Like maybe just have one connect session in a week, or in couple of weeks, just to that'll make it a little more lively, since we have this hybrid way of teaching in here.
So maybe combining that synchronous with asynchronous live video calls, that type of thing. And also, I love your idea of even just bringing in integrating projects into a variety of class topics that could better support international students. Like you mentioned, partnering an accounting student with an international student who needs to file taxes, that could be a really cool interactive applied learning project. So I think even just coming at it from that perspective is really a great idea. And to Victoria's point as well, I love your point on empathy and how important it is to really put yourself in your learner's shoes. Especially when it comes to language. I was in Mozambique and trying to, catch up to Portuguese. And, it was really helpful to me to be able to read and see agendas in advance prior to some of those live meetings and sessions. And I can see how that could also be advantageous to learners as well, or to make materials available in written form if you're not able to pick all of it up in that verbal form. Thank you. Let's go to Tolga and George next. Any words of wisdom, any advice you'd like to give professors on how they can, better meet your needs as international students? Yeah, go ahead.
I think we have pretty good professors, but I would say, so I grew up in Mongolia. In our education system, we never had like tutor program, and maybe it's a cultural thing. I don't really like to ask help, or maybe I was remembering I never thought to ask help from other people. And some reason I was really hesitant to use tutors, right? Maybe we should maybe focus on introducing a tutor program for international students can indeed be a valuable addition to schools and universities. Maybe we should show them we have additional resource for those international students who come from different countries with different background. I don't know how many of them use tutors, but it's available and really helpful for certain classes. So, yeah.
Thank you, Tolga. George, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, so I think our professors are really doing well. What I would want to say would be a bit different from classroom engagement and activities. And I feel whatever we do in the classrooms are related to whatever we do on campus too. And if we'll be able to come to class and focus and study well, it would be basically based on how well the students are doing. And I would want to touch on the welfare of students. Before we move into the classrooms, I think what I'm about to say wouldn't be new to some of the participants on this page. It's about food. It's about what we will eat before we move into the classrooms. I mean, it's about we being able to enjoy what we paid for, and we being able to understand that what we are being fed with is worth it. And it gives us that peace of mind to sit in class and focus on studies. I'm talking about the meal plan that are being given to students that are made to students that opt to stay in the halls. So for a student to be able to stay in the hall, the person would have to select a meal plan. And I feel that it should be optional. Moving forward, it should be optional for students to decide on what to do about the meal plan. And it shouldn't be binding on the student that before you be able to stay in the hall, you should have to select a meal plan at all costs. So that is what I am asking, that it should be looked into, like the price, the plan, and everything, the food, because we should bear in mind that we have international students coming in from other countries. I don't have a problem. We all knew what we were coming for. We knew that we were coming to the US, and coming into the US, you are coming to eat food made by made in the US. So you don't expect to get food in your country. But I believe that we could actually have a data of students we are dealing with, where they are coming from, the things they would like to eat, depending on where they are coming from. So if we know we have a data of the students in the halls, we would actually know what to prepare for them. And also, we should be able to give students the option to select a meal plan they would want to select, not that something that will be binding on them to do at all costs. Thank you.
And then I know, Manoj, do you have anything you'd like to add about how instructors can improve your learning experience here at Park?
So those are all the great points. Like personally, I have something to add to that one. Not trying to compare like our school with other schools, but personally, like I think if we could have something like professors take students to different seminars and then like connect with like other individuals or professionals outside, like where if the student graduates and if they were to be in the workforce, like connecting them with maybe potential employers and like things like those. And maybe you do your final project and then like I'll take you to the seminar if like we have our strengths, our weaknesses, and there are certain limitations to it. But I think if we could have something like our professors could take us to the seminar, so I'll do best in my class and I really want to present in that one, so this is an opportunity created by the professor. And if we could have something of that kind, I think that could go a long way, not only for international students but also for the student population in general.
Yeah, go ahead. I think, Victoria, were you going to raise your hand? Sorry, I didn't know. Yes, thank you, Manoj. And I think, you know, that's such a great point also in terms of extending beyond the classroom of opportunities to connect you with other professionals, with associations, with the networks that exist within your discipline, and to give opportunities for you also to present some of the amazing work that you are doing, especially in your graduate programs, you know, related to your project work, your research, those kinds of things. So that's such a great point. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I think we have time for a question. So for those who are participants here today who have joined this call, if you have a burning question you would like to ask this panel of students, please feel free. You can put it in the chat or you can use the hand raised feature. Well, this panel must have done such a phenomenal job that you've already answered all of our questions. So I know we are at time. I want to be mindful and respectful of your time. To our student panelists, thank you. Thank you for choosing Park. Thank you for coming here, for investing your time and your talents at our institution. Thank you for sharing your insights with us today on this call. And thank you for all of those who joined to learn more about how we can better support the learning of our international students through empathy, as Victoria mentioned, through opportunities to connect and expand beyond the classroom, as Manoj and George and Tolga have mentioned, and also through ways to think creatively, as Nisha and Rossana mentioned, of how we integrate and how we can further connect different projects and people, not just through our assignments and activities, but in how we engage our learners in our classes. A huge thanks to the Global Engagement Committee, including who were on the call today, Kevin Vicker, Win Hassan Hosab Cha. Thank you so much for joining today. We will likely be putting together kind of key takeaways from this conversation. Also, I would invite our international students, if you have additional insights, ideas that you didn't have time to share today, but that you would like our faculty to know about, please feel free to share those with Kevin or myself, and we will make sure those ideas get added to kind of our key takeaways or infographic that we'll be sharing after this session, which will be available on our FCI website. With that, I just want to thank you all for your time today and look forward to ways that we can integrate these ideas and suggestions into our practice moving forward. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.